promise you, if you take notes and actually try, you will quit for good. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I should make this video because there is so much value that it shouldn't be free. But you're my homies, so you know I have to do you right. And don't even tell me about self-discipline or willpower. Those are all just self-limiting beliefs. There's no reason for you to think like that. And let me just say, I am the right person to take advice from, because I was addicted to a lot of things and I've quit every single one of them. I was you, and this is the video I wish I had when I was in your position. So firstly, dopamine. Dopamine is this hormone in your body that makes you feel happy, especially when you think about doing something. So let's take chocolate as an example. So you have the dopamine over time. When you think about eating chocolate, your dopamine goes up a little. And this is where you think about eating chocolate. It peaks up and it's like a curve. And then it drops down to base level and then below base level. And the fact that it drops below base level is actually what makes the need for you to take action. So now you're right here, below base level, okay? And you start thinking about actually eating the chocolate and it goes up, your dopamine increases. And you walk out of your room to take the chocolate and you go to the fridge and you open it and you actually see the chocolate. And right here, when you eat the chocolate, you've peaked. But right after you eat, you start dropping and dropping and dropping, all the way to base level. But it doesn't just stop there. You drop below base level. So you end up being worse than you were the first time when you felt like eating it. And now since you're at the bottom here, you get another urge to eat another piece of chocolate. So you think about it and it increases your dopamine, but it's still below base level. And then it drops again. And this creates another need for you to take another piece. So now you're at the bottom here. It starts to go back up because you're thinking about taking it. And you go to the fridge again and you take the chocolate out and you open the wrapping and you take another piece of the chocolate and you've basically climaxed. But this peak isn't the same as the first peak. The first time you took the piece of chocolate was a lot more dopamine increase your dopamine a lot more than the second piece. So you're actually less happy from the second piece. And then you've climaxed, you took the chocolate and you go down again, and even lower than where you were at the first point. Like the bottom is lower than the first bottom you had when eating the first piece of chocolate. So now you feel even worse. Then you get another urge to eat chocolate. And that is dopamine hell. You get into this cycle that you can't break, but you have to escape it if you want to quit. So the question is, where do we attack in this dopamine graph? Well, right after you get the urge. This is the easiest point to attack and when it's the weakest, because this is when you're closest to the base level, so you don't feel like you need to eat the chocolate that bad yet. So again, the graph, and then it peaked, you think about eating the chocolate and it dropped. Right here, you're below base level. This is where you attack. Right after you get the thought of eating the chocolate or doing whatever the habit is that you're doing, you don't do it. Just say no in real life, just speak out, say no, or write it down, or go do some push-ups. But the point is that you don't surrender to the urge, okay? So you're down here, and then let's say you don't do it, so you just sit there and do nothing or do something else, but you don't indulge in the habit. It goes back up to base level, where you started, almost as if nothing ever even happened. And that's so interesting. I mean, you don't have to eat the chocolate, you don't have to do the habit, you don't have to do the addiction. It just goes back up like nothing happened. You don't feel like you need it, you don't feel annoyed, you don't feel sad. You just go back to the same state you were. That simple. But I want to tell you that it's not easy and it will take time for you to get used to this and to finally quit. And the thing is that you've been conditioning yourself for what? 14, 16, 18 plus years to do this addiction, this habit. So it's going to take time for you to rewire your brain and undo the conditioning. So don't set unrealistic expectations. If you've been eating candy for 10 years and like actually addicted to it, and you've been eating it for 10 years, and you try to quit, and you think it's only gonna take a week, you're being extremely unrealistic. And you're going to set up yourself for failure and disappointment. So don't do that. Be realistic, okay? So we talked about how the dopamine over time graph works with instant gratification, which is basically things that you do that give you pleasure right now and barely take any effort. But let's talk about delayed gratification, okay? So delayed gratification is things that take effort but pay off a lot more than instant gratification habits do long term, like working out, going to the gym, or studying or playing sports, okay? So now you have the graph again, dopamine over time graph. So if you enjoy doing this delayed gratification habit, then you get the same idea, a peak, and then you go down because you want to do it. But let's say you don't want to do it. You're at base level here, and you force yourself to take action on this habit. So you're at base level, and it drops because you don't really want to. So you feel kind of annoyed to go to the gym or whatever, and you're here. But then you actually do, and you start seeing some results, or you see your pump, and you enjoy working out. So then it peaks. Now you're up here, like you finish your workout, and you get that high of feeling good and seeing your muscles popping, and then it drops again, like the instant gratification. But this is the thing, when it drops, it doesn't drop to base level or below base level. It drops slightly above base level. So this is base level, it's slightly above it, meaning that on average you're slightly happier. And over time this compounds and results in a higher dopamine base level, which results in you being happier on average, which is opposite to the instant gratification, because your dopamine base level, your average dopamine keeps decreasing the more you take part in this habit. So it keeps going down, lower, lower, lower in this cycle, and you just reach a point where it's so hard to quit, okay? And you feel so unhappy all the time, and things that you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy anymore, because it takes so much just for you to reach your base level, because you're so far below. So that was dopamine. The second thing you need to do is your self-image. So your self-image is pretty self-explanatory. It's how you think of yourself, what you believe about yourself to be true. And I don't click off, because I know this is kind of weird if it's the first time you've heard it, but truly, what you believe about yourself is exactly related to what you do, the habits you do, and the decisions you make every single day. It's one of the biggest deciding factors, and it's mostly subconscious, so you don't really have much control over it, but you can change it. And let me give you an example to prove how big of an effect it has. So let's take two people as an example. They're both extremely muscular, they're both very good at fighting and extremely attractive. Like very top 1% in all of these traits. And the first guy thinks that he is who he is. He believes that he is this guy, the top 1%, the most muscular, that every girl wants and everyone wants to be his friend, and he's super successful. How do you think he's gonna act? Maybe he'll be confident, obviously. Maybe a little arrogant. He'll act with abundance because he has a lot of women, he has everyone around him, he has everything he needs, and people like him and want him around. That's going to change completely how he thinks about himself and how he makes decisions, as compared to the other guy who thinks that he's the normal average guy like me or you. He's going to act completely different. Even though girls look at him and still want him, he doesn't believe it. And that makes him come off as shy and scared to take action and anxious because of how he thinks of himself. He's going to act completely different than the first guy. So that probably proved it. But let me give you another example in the realm of habits and addictions. So let's imagine there's two people, same thing. One thinks they both eat chocolate. One thinks he's addicted to the chocolate, and the other thinks that he isn't addicted, that he just eats it for fun. Who do you think is gonna have an easier time quitting it? Obviously the guy that doesn't think he's addicted, okay? And let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I was addicted to chocolate, and I used my self-image to completely change how I thought about chocolate and how I thought about myself. So a few weeks ago, I was studying for my exams because I had finals. It's the end of the year, so I was stressed and it was late at night, and I still had some studying to do. So I got up because I wanted to eat. I was hungry and I wanted to stay awake. So I wanted to eat something. So I went to the fridge, I opened it, and I saw a chocolate bar. I picked it up and I was about to eat it. But then I remembered how it would feel on my tongue and that brown color and how it would taste and all of that, and the fact that I don't like chocolate. I made myself think that I don't like chocolate. I threw it right back into the fridge. I could not bring myself to eat it because it didn't align to my self-image. I wasn't one who thought of myself as somebody that eats this or indulges in chocolate or does this habit. And therefore, I couldn't bring myself to do it. And it's the same thing that works in the opposite. If you believe you're addicted to it, you can't stop doing it. You can't act against your self-image or your self-beliefs. But the good news is that you can change them. And that's what you have to do. And you do that by building up small wins over time. You prove to yourself that you are worthy. You prove to yourself that this is not who you are, that you aren't this addicted guy, you aren't this average guy. You're better than that. And you can and will do better than that. And this could be you decreasing the amount of chocolate every week. Like if you eat 3 chocolate bars a day, you start eating 2.5 every day for a week, and then 2 every day for a week. And by this point, you've already proved to yourself that you aren't addicted. And you have to tell yourself at the same time that you aren't addicted. And if you actually end up believing it, because it is the truth, when you end up believing it with your whole heart, subconsciously and consciously, this is when quitting will be so easy. It will never have been this easy for you. It's literally like, don't even know, it just becomes so simple and so easy that you don't even need willpower, discipline. It's just who you are. You're not even trying anymore. And this kind of brings us to the third point, which is brainwashing yourself or hijacking your brain or tricking yourself, whatever you want to call it. But essentially what I did here was that every single day, every moment, whenever I was free, before I went to sleep, when I woke up, I would tell myself how much I hated chocolate, how it was so disgusting, how it made my tongue look brown, how it looked brown. And I just said everything that I didn't like about it, and I wrote it down, and I would read it every single day on my way to school until it stuck in my mind. I kept ramming it in every single day. Genuinely, this is how I did it, and it worked. It paid off very well. I stopped completely, and I always think of it as disgusting. Like now when I have my birthday, even my birthday or somebody's birthday, or a celebration or anything, and there's cake or there's chocolate or candy or whatever, I have zero urge to eat it. It's not even willpower at this point. I just don't want to eat it. Can you believe how crazy that is? I'm not forcing myself, I just don't want to. And that's the level of brainwashing and self-image changing I've done. And it worked very well. I wouldn't be here telling you this if it didn't work. And you can do the same. You can have the same results. Just put in the effort and brainwash yourself like I did. Say how annoying this habit is, how addicting, how disgusting it is, that you don't want to do it anymore, that this isn't you. You're better than that. Now with dopamine, self-image, and brainwashing in mind, I'm confident you'll be able to quit your habit and addictions. That is, if you take action. And if you've watched this far, I'm genuinely proud of you. And you're one step closer to finally quitting for life and never looking back again. So be happy, and I'm happy for you. Good luck, soldier. And as always, you're the only person that can make yourself reach success. And you're the only person that can ruin it.